So we are going to go over here in this training on one of the probably most important topics that you will learn in this program, which is diet cycling. Now, this is going to take some time for you to get good at, but it's a very, very, very powerful process for you to lose weight in the long term and actually keep the weight off. Because I'll dive in. I was going to get ahead of myself there in a second, but let's dive into the training. So what we're going to cover today is why diet cycling is important, what it even is, why it actually works, the formula for diet cycling, and then the step-by-step diet cycle guide for women with a broken metabolism, which is mainly the women we work with. I don't like the term broken necessarily, but basically just metabolisms that need to be restored. So, and then finally, we'll cover some common mistakes and pitfalls. So why this is important is many women do get caught in the trap of being on a diet for far too long. And these extended diets, they lead to metabolic adaptation, meaning your metabolism will adapt to whatever calories you are currently eating. So if you're eating 1,000 or 1,200 calories in order to lose weight, eventually your metabolism will get used to that and it'll slow its metabolism down to match that number. And then your metabolism is down here and there's no way you're going to lose weight anymore because it's just so slow. So this, again, it leads to an internal plateau. And what's going to help is purposeful dieting and strategic adjustment of calories is what's going to work for long-term fat loss. So diet cycling also helps with diet fatigue, meaning just being so burnt out on trying to eat low calorie and trying to watch what you're eating. A lot of times it can just really burn you out and you just get sick and tired of it and you get resentful of it. And you're like, this just isn't worth it. It's not working as well as I thought it would. And I hate broccoli, so I'm just going to stop and throw it all out the window. So we want to avoid that fatigue and that resentment by going through a cycle. So what exactly is diet cycling? So diet cycling is the strategic and purposeful adjustment of calories and protein intake over time. So another way to phrase this is diet phasing. Okay, so basically the phases of this diet cycle that you want to take yourself through are a building or boosting metabolism phase, where you're going to be eating a little bit higher calorie to build muscle and boost your metabolism, followed by a fat loss, a cutting or shredding phase, kind of all the same, same verbiage there. And then the last thing you want to do, which is very important, that's often overlooked, is a maintenance phase. Maintaining your weight, not trying to gain, not trying to lose, just staying the same. So slowly increasing calories over time to boost your metabolism with lean toned muscle. So that's what we're going to start with, is that boosting phase, right? That's going to be followed by a short purposeful fat loss or diet phase with lower calories. And then it's going to be followed with a reverse diet to avoid metabolic adaptation. So the term reverse diet, what that means is you are reversing yourself out of this low calorie diet, coming back up to a normal calorie intake that's not intentional in losing weight. So if you go from low calorie and you just automatically shoot up back to where you were prior to this diet phase, you're going to gain weight. So you want to slowly reverse diet out of that so you avoid weight gain. Okay, so we'll dive into that a little bit more in detail later. But why diet cycling even works in the first place? If you are constantly dieting, your metabolism will adapt, making fat loss in the future impossible. I kind of talked about that earlier. Eventually, your metabolism will slow down and it'll catch up to your calorie intake. So by breaking up your diet with intentional increase in calories, you are manipulating your metabolism so that it does not adjust to the lower calorie mark. So again, before your so let's say you're eating that 1,200 calories per day in order to lose weight. You want to break up that diet by having a high calorie target so that your metabolism doesn't adjust to that 1,200 mark. You want to stay one step ahead of your metabolism to kind of get it to go back in the other direction before it adjusts to that low calorie mark. So basically you're teaching your body that low calorie is not normal so that it'll learn to burn more calories on its own. So by teaching your body how to burn more calories on its own, that will make fat loss in the future much easier because you do not have to increase calories as low each time. So what we're going to cover here is just the formula. So this is just kind of like an equation or like a basic breakdown of how this works. Okay, so more muscle equals a faster metabolism. A faster metabolism equals a higher daily calorie burn. A higher daily calorie burn equals fat loss. So that's kind of the formula there. Okay, so we'll kind of break this down a little bit. So the more muscle part, which is the first part of this formula, is having more muscle. In order to build more muscle, you have to give your body materials in order to build that muscle. It is nearly impossible to build muscle on a diet or in that diet low calorie phase because your body can't create muscle out of nothing. Just like you can't build a house without the bricks, the foundation, the wood, the drywall, the roofing, all that stuff. You can't build a house without that stuff. Your body can't build muscle without the extra materials or the extra calories in order to actually create the muscle out of that. So you have to give your you have to give your body more calories so that it can use them to build the muscle that we want. And then with a higher protein intake as well, your body's going to learn to take those extra calories that you're giving it and turning it into muscle instead of converting it into fat. Okay, so if we were just to say, okay, let's increase your calories, but we increased your calories and did not increase your protein, and we were just eating more calories but eating low protein, you would likely gain fat in that area because your body can build muscle. It has to have the right materials. It needs enough materials and it has to have the right materials. If you're trying to build a house and you're sitting there with like pillows and something that's not designed to build a house with, you're not going to be able to build that house because it's not the correct type of materials. Same thing with your body. Your body needs enough materials and the correct materials, and that correct material is protein. Your body has to have that protein to build that muscle. Now that you've built more muscle because you have a high protein and you're starting to increase calories, your body is naturally going to burn more calories on a day-to-day basis because you have more muscle. Muscle is expensive. We talked about this before. It costs a lot of calories to keep muscle on your body, and your body wants to keep muscle on your body because you're strength training and all of that stuff that we've already talked about, right? But now that we have, our body is learning to burn more calories on a day-to-day basis, this is going to give you a much higher budget from which to cut your calories when it's time to diet, right? If you try to diet right now and your body is only burning about 1,200 calories, you're going to have to dramatically decrease your calories all the way down to like 600 or 700 per day just in order to lose a couple pounds, which is literally impossible. Nobody can eat that low amount of calories. So what we are doing is we're teaching your body to burn a lot more calories so that when you try to lose weight and you decrease your calories, now you're eating a normal amount of calories and still losing weight instead of having to go all the way down here, which is impossible. So we want to give your body that higher budget by increasing that metabolism. Okay. Then after you've gotten that faster metabolism, now your body is burning more calories, which is going to make fat loss way, way, way easier. Exactly what I just talked about, right? We've gotten that budget up here. So now you've got a lot more room to eat and to have a normal calorie intake per day instead of being all the way down here. So that's what we want to do. Okay. So here is our step-by-step diet cycling guide. Okay. So step one, you need to find out what your current basal metabolic rate is. So basically, this means to find out how many calories you are currently burning on a day-to-day basis. And doing this, you're going to track your daily calories for a week. If you stay about the same weight on the scale, if you're not shooting up 5-10 pounds, if you're just kind of going, normal fluctuations in weight, if that stays constant, then the amount of calories you eat each day is your basal metabolic rate, because the calories that you're taking in, your body is burning them and equaling you not gaining any weight on the scale. So if you're not gaining any weight, however much calories you're eating is how many calories you're burning, which is your BMR. Okay. So if your BMR is under 2000, which it likely is, you're going to start a building phase. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase your calorie intake each day by 200 from your basic metabolic rate. Okay. And we're also going to eat 110 to 150 grams of protein per day, depending on your body weight. So you don't ever want to eat less than this in protein. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, so let's say again, like you're eating 1,200 calories per day and you're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, you're just staying the same. So that means 1,200 is our basic metabolic rate. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase by 200 from that point. So that means we're going to go up to 1,400. We're going to eat this many calories for 2 weeks, and then we're going to reassess. If the scale stayed the same, then we're going to do it again. So if you're 180 pounds and you're eating 1,200 calories per day, and then you start to eat 1,400 calories per day for 2 weeks, and you're still 180 pounds, then we're going to go up to 1,600. And we're going to do that for 2 weeks. If the scale still stays at 180, then we're going to do it again up to 1,800. And then slowly we're going to see the scale stay about the same. And we're going to get our, eating each day up to about 2,000. Okay. So we're going to repeat this process until we are eating 2,000 calories plus per day. This may take a while. Okay, so it may not always be in 2 week increments. You may need to stay at a certain calorie number for 4 weeks because maybe your appetite just hasn't caught up yet. Maybe that metabolism is going to take a little bit longer to adjust and speed up to your current rate. So if you're eating 1,200 calories per day and you notice when you get to 1,600 calories, you haven't gained any weight on the scale, but you're just really full. Okay, that means that, okay, I need to stay here for maybe an extra week or two so that my body can catch up. I can build a little bit more muscle. I can speed my metabolism up a little bit more. That way I have an appetite to go up to 1,800. So I hope that makes sense. But basically, you want to just repeat this process until you are consistently eating 2,000 plus calories for 4 weeks at a time. So if you can go for 4 weeks eating 2,000 calories and you haven't gained any weight on the scale, then you are ready for step 3, which is a diet phase. Okay, I'm gonna actually put 6 weeks here. You want to really make sure that 2,000 calories is your current BMR, because sometimes it can kind of be a fluke. So if you're eating for 6 weeks, 2,000 calories plus, then you can go ahead and go to step 3. So now that your BMR is 2,000 or over, you have enough room to effectively decrease your calories and still live a normal life. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that BMR, that new BMR you've created for yourself, and we're going to slowly decrease calories by 500 per day, right? So basically, an example, if you were able to increase your calories to 2,000, so let's say you were able to build it all the way up to 2,000 calories, maybe that took you about 6 months or so, depending on where you were starting from. So between 4 and 6 months, now we're over 2,000 calories per day. We're not gaining weight. On week 1 of this diet or cutting phase, we're going to drop by 500 to 1,500 calories per day. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stay at this calorie intake for 2 weeks, and then we're going to reassess. Okay, so we're going to go, okay, I'm done 1,500 for 2 weeks, and I'm going to reassess. If you are losing weight consistently, do not change a thing. If you haven't lost less than like 1 pound, we're going to decrease our calories a little bit more by 100 to 200 per day, and can, again, continue to reassess. Okay, so don't get discouraged if you're not losing weight right out of the gate, right? This is a process that's going to take some time, okay? So now what we're going to do, though, is we're going to make sure we complete this diet phase in 10 weeks or less. So if the diet phase was not as successful as if you would have liked it, do not continue to diet longer than 10 weeks. This is the absolute limit because your body will adjust to the new calorie target again. Okay. All this is going to tell you, though, is you have to do a little bit more work in that building metabolism phase. Up here in step 1, where we talked about, or step 2, starting a building phase, right? You just need, maybe you should have stayed there a little bit longer. That's what that's telling you. Okay. So now we're going to go to step 4, which is that reverse diet and maintenance phase. Okay. So after the diet phase is complete, okay, you have decreased by 500, you've reassessed, I'm losing weight. That's pretty good. After the diet phase is complete, again, no longer than 10 weeks, you're going to slowly increase your calories again by 200 every 2 weeks until you have reached your BMR once again. So basically, if you cut all the way down to 1,500 calories per day, 14 or 1,500, what you want to do is you want to go back up to like 16 or 1,700, eat that for about 2 weeks, reassess. How do you feel? Have you gained any weight? If not, cool. Let's go ahead and go back up by 200 calories again. Stay there for 2 weeks, reassess. Have we gained weight? All that sort of thing. We're going to continue eating in line with our BMR each day for about 6 to 8 weeks. So we're not for 6 to 8 weeks, we're not trying to build, we're not trying to lose, we're just staying the same, and we're just eating normally with no real goal in mind. Our only goal is just to be consistent and to just eat that calorie target each day. Okay. Now, if you have more weight you would like to lose, we're going to start the process over, beginning with step 2. So we're going to go over here and go, okay, how many calories am I eating? If I want to build my metabolism a little bit more before I go into another cutting phase, do not ever go straight into another diet phase from maintenance. You always want to go back to the building phase first. Make sure your metabolism is in a good point. You always want to be reassured of that, and then go into the diet phase again. You should never go diet. You should never go diet, maintenance, diet, maintenance. It should never be like that. It should go building phase, dieting phase, maintenance phase, building phase, dieting phase, maintenance phase. It should look like that every time. Okay. So Some common mistakes and pitfalls that we see a lot when it comes to people trying to do this on their own is they continue dieting for longer than 10 weeks because they're like, oh man, this is working and I really want to keep going and I really want to keep losing weight. And they push it to 12, 14, 16, 20 weeks sometimes. And then what the next thing they know is that they hit this plateau and they've done a lot of damage to their metabolism. Okay. So 10 weeks is the limit. Trust me, even if it feels like it's working and you got more room to go, don't push it, reverse back out of it because it's not worth it. You don't want to have your metabolism adapt again because then you have to start over from square one and that sucks. So another common mistake we see is cutting the building phase too short and not allowing your metabolism to fully adjust to the new high calorie target. So when you start that building phase and you start increasing calories and increasing protein and stuff, people go, okay, I can't do this anymore. I just want to lose weight. So then they just cut their calories again and they don't allow the building phase to run its course, right? They cut it short because they're eager and they're impatient and they want to just get to the fat loss phase already. Your body's not ready for that. You have to get your body ready so that fat loss phase is effective. You can try to go into a fat loss phase, but it won't work. You have to focus on building first, okay? Another big common mistake is not eating enough protein. You should eat no less than 110 grams of protein per day and never miss it, no matter what phase you're in. So if you're in the building phase, if you're in the cutting phase, no matter what, you should be at least at 110 grams. Okay. The only caveat to that is if protein causes some digestive issues for you. So if you're noticing your gut is not good, you're having, diarrhea or, you just bloated all the time, whatever, then maybe decrease the protein a little bit. And if that helps with your digestion, then you know that maybe you're a little bit more sensitive to protein and you need to just keep it a little bit lower. Okay. If this is the case, you do want to try though to eat as much protein as you can and as much protein as your digestive system will allow. Okay. So drop it a little bit if you need to. If you're still noticing digestive issues, keep dropping it. If you're just still noticing digestive issues and you've cut your protein in half or something and you're still having digestive issues, I doubt it's protein. You probably need to get something else checked out. So another common mistake is not repeating the process. People think that if they do this one time that they're going to lose all the weight and then they're just going to, be awesome, right? But one cycle is not going to produce any more than 8 to 10 pounds of weight loss. You're going to have to continue this cycle over and over and over. And the last common mistake is getting discouraged if the cycle doesn't work the first time. If they go through it and they think that they did it correctly and then they do it and they didn't lose that much weight or they didn't lose any weight at all, they get discouraged and think this doesn't work, this sucks, whatever. If that happens, there might be some other external factors to look at. How are you sleeping? How is your water intake? Are your hormones thrown off? There's going to be a lot of things that we want to look at, but don't get discouraged. Okay, you're doing this. It's one of your first times. If it's your first time trying to do it, likely you're not very good at it. And probably you had some inconsistencies in there and that sort of thing. Maybe we aren't really too keen on food allergies and intolerances and that sort of thing. So it's going to take some time to fine tune this. So don't get discouraged after the first time. Okay, this is I say it all the time, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take us a while to get where we want to be. But when we get there, we're going to stay there because we're doing it the right way. So I hope this makes sense. I know this is kind of a longer training, but this is something that's really going to set you up for success long term. Just keep this in mind and use this every time you feel like, hey, I need to boost my metabolism. I need to cut some weight, whatever. Use this. So let me know if you have any more questions and I can dive into the topics a little bit more if I need to.